Okay, thank you guys for attending our sales meeting. And first off, I'd like to recognize any veterans in the room. So are there any veterans in here? Mike, Johnny, Mike, and thank you guys for your service.
Sneak in.
With a smile.
With a smile. We've got a couple of special guests here today. Summer from our escrow. Summer, good morning.
Stand up.
You know, guys, escrows make or break our deals, and we're so lucky to have Summer, so thank you for being here. And Susie Shepard. Susie. Good morning. Would you like to say something?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Just a couple of things that are causing transactions to not close on time and not to close sometimes ever is your confirmation of conveyance. That's when I give my property to Lance, he buys it, but no title insurance. Okay? That's really a problem, because what the title company is going to say is, Susie, did you really want to give your property to Lance? And so you have to fill this out. Now, if they've gone to Afghanistan, if they've gone to Mexico, if they've gone to Arizona, we still have to have this signed, okay? Or we have to have an affidavit from the seller. So it's real important that you understand why the title company is asking for this, and I'll pass that out. Second thing is, I sent y'all an email about the new requirements for the alarms, and so I think it's really hefty. We have a rental, and I got from the property management that it's going to cost us something like $40 to put all new. Yeah.
When does that take effect?
January the 1st, 2014, like everything else. So I'll pass this out too. One other
You guys
thing.
familiar with what that is? The smoke alarms now have to have the 10-year super battery in it, no more 9 volts or anything like that. And that's going to apply to all of our sales too. So if you're selling a deal and it has a smoke detector in it that's got the old one with the 9 volt in it, those got to come out. So, and I guess they're $40 for the.
Yeah, it's really hefty, and you have to have the date on it,
Right.
on the alarm. So you're talking about in 2014, maybe it's 200 or 300. They've got to be in the hallways, the living room, family room, bedrooms, kitchen, all that. So I had sent everybody an email, but I thought it'd be good to pass this out. It's a new requirement. Also, on an equity line, we have to see zero. We have to see zero and closed. That causes a lot of problems because the title companies aren't going to budge. Even with the zero balance, sometimes we won't accept that because what they do, they sold the loan. And we got nailed like $125,000 because it was, we thought it was closed, zero, and it wasn't. So that's another thing. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Okay, guys, are you ready with your presentation?
Yes.
Very good. Okay,
We'll just say in turn. I'm gonna pass out some PowerPoints, if you guys could pass them around amongst each other.
and this is Kathy York with Providence. Good morning, Kathy.
Good
The
morning.
floor is yours.
How's everyone this morning? I offered to do some classes and things like that on some things that you guys may not aware of, and you hear some lingo from mortgage companies, and you're like, what in the world are they talking about? Well, I'm going to kind of do a brief thing on credit, on what the lenders look at and what in the heck is going on. So go ahead. Some of the issues that people understand is they don't understand the FICO score. They don't understand delinquent credit when we're looking at it. Foreclosures versus short sales. This is a huge issue, and it takes us anywhere from 30 to 60 days to clean that up, and I'll explain that as well. Public records, it used to be back in the day, a foreclosure or a notice of default was recorded within the public records. Well, the public records system got so far behind during the boom, I think they just gave up and stopped recording because it was a redundant thing. Stop filing, yes, file, and it became a multiple filing on a notice of default. And how can I help your score? We get this all the time. Let's go ahead here. Okay, understanding a credit report. People were saying, well, how do you know this? Somebody could open up an account and not use it. It has no effect on their score. You'll hear someone say, well, I opened up a credit card and I have a high limit. It means nothing. If someone does not use a credit card, they could have perfect credit and not use it for 6 months. It becomes, in this new market, an unrated account. It affects them no way. You could have a $10,000 balance, paid it off, 6 months later, it means nothing to the bank or the credit bureaus. We always like to see this favorite one, current or paid according to terms. It goes the 30 days, 60, 90. The most focus on is 120 days. And as we know, 120 days means the bank should have filed a notice of default against them because they're 90 days down, going on the 4th month. This is another one, wage earner assignment. Someone could be a co-signer and the husband's not going on the loan or the wife. The credit bureau is telling us they are garnishing somebody's wages, believe it or not. I mean, they're telling us everything. This repossession here is 8. If someone did a short sale, there are several banks, and one of the banks is currently with Bank of America, and they are switching them over very, very voluntary because they're worried about lawsuits. If it reports and you never see the 8, it should be a 9 if it's a short sale. So you have 3 credit bureaus. 2 should show an 8. If it comes up on the back end as a 9, if it doesn't show a 9, we have to have the bank change that internally. It increases the credit score by almost 70 points. So we do that. It takes us about 30 days to clean that up because of the bank. And bad debt collects your skip. You know, that's definitely like a charge-off and things like that. Short sales also used under the 9. Installment, revolving, paid, that's kind of simple. It's due like an American Express, 30 days. Mortgage, open account, and line of credit. Those are just typical things, understanding what they are. Authorized user. This was a game that was played for a long time, but now the DU system plays it up. You have somebody with no credit, you put your son's name on your credit card, it shows up under authorized credit user. That can affect adversely on someone. I had a lady, her mom, put her on her Nordstrom's, $11,000 balance. It affected her daughter's credit, almost 100 points because it was maxed out. Yeah, they didn't like it. Borrower, co-borrower, joint. If you have a single guy buying something and he's got credit under his joint, what does that tell the lender? This is how nosy they are. He's married before. We want to see the divorce decree. So everything is now boom, boom, boom. Co-signer means you made a mistake and co-signed for your child. Just kidding. Terminated, they kicked you off the car. For some reason, they seized that from you. And this is under designed responsibility not specified. That means they can't figure out who it's connected to, and those are easily dispersed. Deceased. You guys have got a problem if your borrower has deceased accounts. That tells us he's really a dead man. And we're going to see his birth certificate. Most lenders can't lend. They say 580, and a lot of lenders can do 580. But I got to tell you, you're taking a chance of not getting the loan through. So that's your risk, and most of the time, I will put the burden back on you. If it's a property that you're having a hard time getting away with, I usually try to work with it and get this credit score up. We actually lend on 95 at the 620. PMI usually does it as well. We've done plenty of those. 640, ideally on M+, FHA, you get the better rate. Anything between this zone, 620 to 639, your borrower is going to pay out of the nose on a credit score, on an interest rate. It's usually 3 points on the back end, straight up. So where they would get a 4.375, they're probably looking at 5.25 interest rate. Go ahead.
Hey Kathy,
Also, the lenders who are saying I can do a 580, all those are portfolios or what's going on with that?
Well, FHA will take them, but the problem is the underwriters are putting a risk that those people are gonna make payments for 2 years without a default. It used to be 1, but now it's 2. So they scrutinize that loan for everything. And underwriters, it's a matter of opinion. They don't go by an AU system that it's approved through DU. It's their decision and that's it. And anything below that has to be signed by a second signature. So you have to convince 2 underwriters that that's a great loan and they're gonna make their payments for 2 years.
What are the odds of that?
Slim and none and slim left. Most of them, even with foreclosures, we're seeing higher scores. And most of those 580, I'm not putting anybody down, but 95% of those 580s are just a bad credit risk. And I was an underwriter for 22 years, and I've looked at some of them, and the stories that I get, and I talk to the clients, this is what they tell me. Oh, by the way, this happened. That was my brother's fault. That was my sister's fault. This is that fault. And I bought that car and it fell apart, so I stopped making the payments. No, you're not responsible by taking care of it. So the lenders aren't going to do it. It's a risk for you, and that's something you would have to discuss. I would definitely talk it over with you. My little Grim Reaper. The biggest thing is late payments on a mortgage. Any one time, it's going back to the day in the 80s. One mortgage late affects the score like severely bad. 2, it'll pick it up, and they better have a lot of reserves, and they better have something else going for them. Revolving accounts, this revolving accounts is so important. It is and it's not. Revolving accounts, and I'm going to give you the 3 creditors, 4 creditors. Credit One, First Premier, Capital One, and HSBC. And Best Buy, if you want to just choke them to death. If those reports come in with a high balance and a 130-day late, you might as well have a notice of default on your credit. That's how severe those creditors are. They're good for your credit, but they're a hard hit to the credit. So keep that in mind as well. Foreclosures, usually that starts recovering within the first 2 years, and you see it. Bankruptcies, you'll start seeing that recover because they code the reports as filed in bankruptcy, and if I see something on the bankruptcy papers, to get my borrower's score up, I call the bureaus and say, here's our papers, can you flag that and rescore it? That does affect it. Short sales are considered like a charge-off. That's a recovery in 1 year. VA on short sales looks at a charge-off. They don't look at it as a default. Conventional, you go 20% down on short sales, and with a 2 year, and if you put 10% down, you can go conventional as well. Okay. I'm hoping Fannie Mae will wake up and smell the coffee, and eventually they'll start backing off on that. That short sale thing is huge because it picks up on DU if it's coded a 8, meaning foreclosure. It'll affect it and wipe out everything else. Collections. Medical collections, if you guys have a client that says, I have a lot of medical collections, there's a law that's being trying to pass, and it was in the newspaper, that if a borrower or a person pays off medical collections, they're supposed to remove that. It is not a financial debt that they applied for. So that's something. If it is an old collection, like 2 years old, tell them not to touch it. Talk to us first. Because we have a system called Score Later. And you could have a $10,000 medical collection. I put in this Score Later to pay that off, and it'll give them a negative account on their score. It'll actually bring it down because we had to reopen it. So don't touch it. Collection accounts, even HUD is starting to recognize that a little bit differently. They increased it, used to be 500, now it's 2,000. Medical collections don't count at all. Charge-offs, same thing. If they're 2, 3 years old, do not touch those accounts. You know, if your client comes to you, my friend told me to pay them off, stop. Don't pay them off, don't touch them. We can score it and figure out what's wrong with it. Okay, the next one. Did you this is kind of what we're looking at. Ideally, this is not perfect. 3 times 90, 60, and this is how it reads. This CCC is great. How you have 09, that is not going to affect your client. This is basically escaping off the bureaus. That's going away. Because people come in here with credit reports, I'm sure. Say, leave it alone, don't touch it. Okay, go ahead. These are 2 different reporting systems. This is a real estate mortgage, only a 1 times 30-day late. This, after the 2010, affected it by 15 points. Here is what we look for in foreclosures. 21 times 90 days late. These numbers here, this actually was a foreclosure. See the 8? That just told me he foreclosed on that property. So that's what we're looking at. And we sometimes have to get that code from an 8 to a 9 to make it a short sale. Okay, go ahead. We hate these. Public records. If this is something that somebody will say, I have a judgment. I paid it off 2 years ago, but it's still showing unsatisfied. That person literally has to go back to that creditor, even though they paid it, and get what they call a lien release, and pay the county an additional $120 to file that. Yeah, it's a joke. So if you had someone with a judgment, well, they're saying, well, it's still showing unpaid. They literally have to go back and get it fixed. Go ahead. How can we help the score? How many of you people have borrowers that filed bankruptcy? I'm never getting another credit card ever, ever again. Guess what? That's a problem. You had problems with your credit, you went belly up. What have you done to show these people that you've done well? Nothing. You pay rent, you pay utilities, and none of that's reported. The client has to go back and get a couple of credit cards. The creditors I just mentioned to you are your best friend. They'll give them a $300 limit, charge $20, and pay on it for 60 days, and we got a score. Too much credit. You could have someone with perfect credit. Perfect. But owe $40,000 in credit cards. They're a bankruptcy waiting to happen. Old charge-offs, do not touch. New charge-offs, most of the banks won't do anything, but we're going to probably tell you to leave it alone. Because the bank, whoever the creditor was, signed that off, wrote it off to the IRS. In order for them to pay that off, they have to open it back up. So they're going to reopen a charge-up for your client and re-report a charge-off. Don't touch it.
So if it's there, it's there? Just-
Yes, leave it alone. And I can run it and tell them. I'll say, ooh, you got to do this. Collections, 95% of medical collections do not affect your score at all. At all. So if you got something on there, don't tell someone to start paying off those debts, because we're actually telling someone to do something that's going to affect them, and I can see how that it could affect us somewhere down the road.
You said 95%, so what are the 5% that do?
The ones that keep selling them and reporting them.
Okay.
Verizon, Time Warner Cable, I wish someone would sue them. They send it, and then this guy sends it, then this guy sends it, and this guy sends it, and they do up a food chain thing. And every time they sell it, it affects the score as all these different ones. Time Warner, ooh. Credit inquiries, Christmas time. You get 15% discount if you sign up today. Stop. That kills you. And by the way, it not only kills, wipes you out. I call it the Tyler Mall, but it's not anymore. That's an old name. What is it, the Galleria? Yeah, okay. They're sitting there, you see signs as you're walking through, and I can count you 2, 4, 6, 8, how many scores people are going to lose as they're applying. We just need your zip code, we just need your date of birth, and we just dropped your credit score another 4 to 6 points. So, okay, next one. I went kind of fast because I only had a few moments. Does anybody have any questions regarding your credit? No clients with some questions? They're all clean, huh? 720. Just kidding.
So Kathy, once a client gets into escrow, you would advise them not to be doing any inquiries, any purchasing, et cetera, at that point?
Right. I literally at the pre-qual stage, I have an actual drawer that I have for credit cleanup, and I have a tickler list that I send out to my clients every 60 days, our past clients, and ask them where they are and stuff like that. The return on that is 15% of my clients who actually truly are trying to do something to clean up their credit. I tell them don't even go to McDonald's. That's how bad it is. So for the most part. Now, any of you guys interested in employment, how we verify employment, assets, because bank statements and stuff like that have a big part of some of the mistakes we see. I could do a class on that as well. Okay, great, I'll do that. No other questions? What?
Oh, nope, I'm just talking to Dwayne.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So guys, lunch and learns, we're trying to do those, we do our lunch and learns on Tuesdays. And lunch and learn is when we're fortunate enough that someone like Kathy will come in with a great program, and not only will educate us, but she'll also nourish us, which is really cool. So thank you. Okay. I wanted to recognize a number of agents for production. So for the month of October, our top closing agents were Stephen Amaya, number 1. And tied for second, we have Sherry Ameti. Congratulations. Top listing agents for the month of October, number 1, we have a tie, Chris. Steve. And Jay. And tied for second between Bianca, Don, Mike Boab, Norma, and Tom. So a big.
We'll get some plaques out next month.
Yes, plaques are in the mail.
Huh?
Yeah.
How many plaques do I gotta do? About a year's worth.
Okay, and then this upcoming Tuesday, we have a lunch and learn that's being sponsored by Old Public Title. And tomorrow, our Thursday training is going to be on escrow instructions. It should be very good. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Lance Martin.
Oh. I'm going to be really quick. Obviously, this is Steve's kind of, trial by fire baptism on the sales meeting, so we're doing a little bit different. One of the reasons we had Kathy and Provident come in, which by the way, if you guys don't know Kathy, how long have we known each other for what, forever?
Yeah.
20 plus years.
Yeah.
We kind of followed each other around, or I followed her around from Countrywide to B of A, a couple places in between, MetLife and another one, and anyway, Providence. So one of the reasons she's here today is because we did a poor job yesterday letting everybody know that we were going to do this lunch and learn on Tuesday. So Kathy and her team rolls in there yesterday afternoon with sandwiches and such, and nobody knew what we were doing. So at any rate, we are doing the lunch and learns. It's not every Tuesday, right? What is every
It is
Tuesday?
every Tuesday.
Okay, so if you're just going to kind of pencil that in, we'll start to put on our little, if you've noticed, our little door sticker in the conference room. Right now, it just says lunch and learn. As we start to schedule these a little bit better, we'll actually put the titles of what we're doing and who's doing it, so you can kind of pick and choose what you see some value in. Then, of course, in the meantime, you can always go to the portal, okay? Where the portal is gradually getting its sea legs here. We're still a little bit, actually not a little bit, we still have a long ways to go. But at any rate, all of those items will always be on the portal, and then we'll take, for example, Kathy's presentation or whatever information she has, and we'll put that on the portal as well, so that you can actually see what the heck she's talking about, or get her PowerPoint on credit scores and all of her contact information. We'll do that with everything. So I didn't pull any market data stuff. That's, I think Steve wanted me to sit back and see what was going market data wise. October actually turned out to be a little better than it felt. So I don't exactly know what those numbers are, other than I know listing inventory is up a little bit. Pending seem to be somewhat consistent over the last couple, 3 months, which has basically been down a little bit. And frankly, sales are lagging just a tad. September, October seems to be, everybody I've talked to, and I don't know if you guys have had these conversations out and about, but all of the other offices and broker owners and frankly lenders that I'm talking to are saying, wow, we certainly have felt a softening in the market for the last couple of months. Having said that, I think the last couple of weeks, I've seen just the opposite. I've seen in the last couple of weeks a tremendous amount of activity to the point where I could say, wow, this is kind of nice. I know summer's opened a significant amount of escrows in the last 2 weeks compared to the prior 6 weeks, and the numbers in the office are looking better. So, and we're starting to see more listed inventory. I mean, we're just, and again, I know it's not selling as quickly, but that's okay, guys. Let's not panic. You know, having a listing stay on the market for, 30, 45 days, 60 days, God forbid, is not a terrible thing, so. At any rate, I think that's all I've had. I probably might want to chime in. I know there's a couple other things on the agenda. I might want to chime in with a comment here or there. Anybody got any questions for me? Yep.
Wolf Connect, like right now, it only does July to now.
Okay.
What is it going to do?
Okay, if you didn't hear Stephen's question or if you didn't understand his question, one of the things that our portal or Wolf Connect does for us, it will allow you to check your production. Okay, so you can log in anytime you want, click on the little box, go through, and it'll say this is what Stephen has done year to date. And you can, you can put in periods. You can say, what did I do in October? What did I do the third quarter? What did I do year to date? One of the challenges that we've had is because we launched this mid-year, is we've been working out the bugs. We now have to go in and take a look at everybody's production from January 1 to whenever. When did we go live? Like August 1?
August.
Anyway, that first 7 months of the year, that production is not reported properly. So I don't know when the answer to that question is going to be. It'll certainly be before the end of the year. We've got to do it before the end of the year because that's how we're reporting 1099s. So my promise to you is no later. You guys might like us not fixing that because then you'll only be reporting 3 months or 4 months worth of income.
Because the income is right.
Okay.
It's just the production is,
What's the difference?
because you can do your income and you
Okay.
can do how many deals you closed. The income is right.
So what you're saying is
Transactions.
the income is 100 grand, but it only says you closed 5 deals.
Exactly. I think it's like the last day of July to now.
I don't know the answer to that. Let me find that out. Obviously, we have that data. One of the nice parts about this program is you don't have to come to us and ask for it. Previously, you'd have to, unless you're tracking it yourself, which by the way, you all should be tracking it yourself. If you're not using QuickBooks or something, all of you should be doing that. And not that I'm encouraging you not to go to the portal, but you should be able to run your own report internally. It says I closed 17 deals and here's the addresses and how much money I made. That's a different question though. I don't know how much of that data transferred over from the old program. I'll have to take a look at that. On the income side, as long as I'm thinking about it though, we're going to give everybody, because we've used a couple different programs this year to pay you guys out of, you may look at them as seamless, but they're not. They're two completely different databases. We are going to give everybody a pre-1099 1099, okay? It's not going to be the official one. Matter of fact, I'm working with Sarah on this, or we're going to be working on this in the next couple of weeks. So I'm hoping that literally the first week of January, everybody's going to get an email from us, or we might just say, hey, go to the portal, take a look at that number, and you need to let us know that that number jives with the numbers that you have. So in other words, if we say you made 180 grand, and your numbers were, no, I only made 22 grand, you need to let us know that, because we're going to give you a 1099 for 180 grand. And vice versa. Please be honest on both sides of the equation. If you made more and we tell you you made less, please be honest, okay? Because that only causes Sarah heartburn, because she's going to have to fix it later. So, anyhow. Anybody got anything else?
I do.
Yes, sir?
Next Friday, the 22nd, that's our potluck shindig. I sent out the invites to everybody about a week ago, and I can see if you've opened it or not. I would say out of the 100 I've sent out, there's been 20 people that have actually looked at it, and about the same number have confirmed. It's going to be epic.
What are we queuing?
I'm doing 2 Cajun butter injected turkeys, and then there's a ton of other sides and stuff. Anna's bringing ham. You know, there's everything you can imagine and more, and we need more. You can never have too much for a Thanksgiving potluck. The name of it is Gobble Till You Wobble.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
We want to get your weight gain for the holiday, so off to a good start.
And that'll be, I don't even know if that's on the portal or not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is? All right. Needless to say, right now, there's not a lot of reasons for you guys to go. Who's actually looked at the portal since Anna sent that email out? Okay, a couple, 3, 4 of you. I get the fact that you went, you looked at it and said, all right, it's a work in progress, no need for me to go back, or maybe I'll check on the schedule or something like that. Our goal is to try to get you guys, give you a good reason to go to that portal periodically. Right now, there's really no reason to go there every day. There's probably not even a good reason to go there every week. But that's kind of our goal is to, and if we do this, I don't even want to say it. We got this other thing going on which will create a little bit more value. But at any rate, 22nd. What's that, next Thursday?
Yep, and I believe it's at
Week from now?
11:30 if memory
It's on a
serves.
Friday.
Friday.
It's on
Oh.
a Friday.
You
Okay.
bringing a keg,
A
Brian?
week from this Friday.
Are you really?
Yeah, homebrew too.
Nice.
Nice. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Oh, we're doing just want to remind everybody the Make-A-Wish. We support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're gonna renew our contract.
So, Friday?
Our goal is to raise anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000 so we can grant a wish for a child, hopefully sometime next year. So, we're also gonna kick off a wish week starting in December, so look for those details in an email soon.
Okay, well, along those lines, because I know that's on Steve's agenda that he put together. We're doing, well, it's kind of hard to see with the washed out light behind him, but we've basically been talking about Make-A-Wish for, I don't know, probably 10 months, 12 months or so. And then we talked about Wounded Warrior right around the same time, but really hadn't done much of anything. Well, I'm not gonna, I'm always uncomfortable when I'm in a room and people start calling out people's names on who's supporting and who's not supporting, so I'll leave that out. Right now, I think we have, in all of the offices, maybe 4 or 5 agents in the last year or so that have kind of done, but it's totally voluntary, it's totally anonymous, nobody's gonna pin a star on you or call you out for not contributing. But I think we've got about 4 or 5 agents out of 200 that have said, yeah, this is cool, I want to support this. Some of the agents, I think, have donated as little as $5 for a closing. I think we've got 1 or 2 that have maybe done $50 or $100 for a closing. And then I know we collected like $1 here and $1 there for those stars. Reality is, guys, we obviously have done a pretty poor job in supporting this, because during the year, we've collected $350, something like that.
A little bit.
A little bit, it's less than 500.
Less than 1,000.
Okay. I think I stood up here in January or February and said, hey, let's see what we can do to try to, at least get, I think the wish cost is $7,500 is what the average cost of granting one of these kids' wishes are. So, hopefully in 24 we can do a little better job. Having said that, we did so well with Make-A-Wish, we decided, well, what the heck? Let's see what we can do with the Wounded Warrior Project. So for now and for next year, we basically want to try to do something certainly better than $500. I mean, every little bit helps, and whether it's $5 or $20 or $1,000, I really think it'd be a good thing to do. So you'll see more of that stuff. We'll get some information on the portal. I think, did you generate those forms, Ingrid? Ingrid's generated some forms which we've given to the accounting department. We'll email them out to everybody, and it's just a real simple little thing that says, hey, and again, this is completely anonymous, guys, okay? But it's a very simple form that says, hey, I'm Lance Martin, would like to do, $5 on every escrow I close, and you can do Wounded Warrior, you can do Make-A-Wish, you can do both, you can do none. Whatever it happens to be. But you will see something in your email box, certainly within the next week or so.
We can do better than that. Ingrid, do you have some handouts with you?
Yeah, and she's
Let's hand
actually,
those out.
yep, she's already got them. We're gonna email them to you anyway. And it's just a real simple form, and like I say, you choose what you want. Where were we, Drew? In Santa Barbara, and they were doing something, one of the similar type thing. They were doing, I thought $5 was really inexpensive. I thought, geez, $5. I mean, everybody can afford to throw $5 in. But their policy was that people just did $5 per deal. And geez, I mean, they raised a pretty significant chunk of change. You know, it may not sound like a lot, but we're gonna close 600 deals or so this year, 600 deals. Well, even if it was $5, I mean, that's $3,000 just at $5 a deal. So, and then we're talking about some sort of company match as well. So if we raise, you know, about $5,000, the company will throw in $5,000. So at any rate, it'd be nice. It's the right thing to do.
You guys
So-
saw that video they showed at North Street?
Yeah, well, that wasn't even one of the good ones. I mean, you show some of the good ones, the bad ones are actually just tearing it apart. So, at any rate, we really, really would like to do something along those lines. And also, are we doing those brochures we talked about?
Video.
Okay, we're also, you're gonna see floating around the office here, hopefully within the next 30 days or so, basically just kind of a little trifold brochure that kind of explains what the Make-A-Wish thing is all about and what we're trying to do to support it, and the same thing with the Winter Warrior Project and what we're trying to do to support it. And there is one other thing that Ingrid was working on, which is a separate deal, but it's kind of along the same lines. You wanna talk about that marine educational thing? Sure. Okay, I'm done. Well, Ingrid will wrap up this part, and
Thank you, Lance.